Hi everyone, my name is Liang. In this presentation, I will focus on the Tyler Square, which is at the heart of the Oxford Street. This work continues our earlier group study, but I zooms into the micro scale, the range, the building form, and the everyday life around the intersection. My main question is how do country, heritage, and urban microphology come together to shape the lived experience of the place? My framework combines four standards. The first one is the place identity, explains how people build part of their self-concept from the environments they habitate here. From recurring experience of Tyler Square as both traffic node and social meeting place. Second, the connecting with country reminds us that the sandstone range is not just ground level but living Gadigal country that continues through the organized movement, vegetation, and light. Third is the tool to read about the evaluation of lots, blocks, and street patterns. Finally, to help me analyze public-private interface like the doors, warnings, and the shop front as mediations between the social life and the building form. Here I show is the range and the water source map and the aerial view of Tyler Square. Oxford follows the sandstone span that once guided about the movement through Gadigal country, with the rainwater drawing north to the Walloon Bay and the south to the Rushcutter Bay. A lined road along this range to avoid flooding and maximize visibility, and that decision still influence building orientation, sun exposure, and pedestrian flows today. Heretical map show how the colonial range both follows and overrides country subdivision patterns will subtly along the range and revealing a negotiation between the geometric street and the typography. Today, the tree subtribution map shows only fragments of this nature system as the street trees, small green pockets, and the evaluate lies in the Tyler Square, but they still mark a hydrological and social boundary between the CBD grade and the final grade of the Darlinghurst. At the block scale, Tyler Square sites where the larger commercial grade of the Oxford Street meets the smaller residential grade of Darlinghurst. The street wall is mapped up of 2 to 3 stories, also patched by a taller heritage hotels like the Count House and the Columbian. Narrow frontage of 4 to 6 meters create a fine-grained rhythm that supports small-scale retail and hospitality. At eye level, warning doors and a transparent shop front create a continuous public-private interface. In the daytime, they support slow walking, glazing into intervals, and informal encounters. At night, the same morphology is recorded by lights, like LED signs, and the colored reflection turn the facade into a theatrical backdrop for nightlife. This day-night transformation show how a relatively fixed build form can host every different social program and atmosphere. Tyler Square is still a major traffic intersection where multi-lines of cars, buses, and bike coverage. Historical image of the tram area show that it is a civic crossroad. After the trams were removed, road widening the vehicle and made crossing longer and less comfort. Today, cycling infrastructure is fragmented and merges back into traffic right at the intersection. Pedestrian activity tends to closure next to building gauge, trees, and rest patrols, while the wide ashpit in the center remains visually exposed and underused. Sense of place in Tyler Square shifts dramatically between day and night. By day, traffic noise, pales, sandstones, and rush sunlight dominated the experience, but at night, music, voice, and colored light create a such more immersive atmosphere. Elements like the rainbow crosswalk and the always was always will be connect the core identity and the first national country, especially during Mardi Gras and the market. This sensory and symbolic help residents and visitors build a strong place identity tied to both ritual and celebration. In the policy term, Tyler Square sits inside the Oxford Street Culture and Creative Precinct. Currently, planning controls try to balancing heritage conservation with creative regeneration. Height limited protects the historic skyline, while concepts encouraged upper floor studios, small avenues, and nighttime uses. The past attempts to pedestrian the square have been only partly successfully, but they show a long-standing ambition to reduce vehicle dominance and strengthen its civic role. Looking forward, the first one is separated and continue cycle lines through the intersection could resolve current conflicts and make active travel more attractive. Second is the redistributing some road space to create shade seating and the plants area could improve micro road climate and comfort. Third is framing the square more explicitly as both Gadigal country and the Quora civic landmark could guide programming, lighting, and public art. These moves would align morphology, movement, and meaning more closely. In conclude, Tyler Square is not just a busy intersection. It is an intersection of country heritage, urban morphology, and lived experience, with relatively modest interventions to mobility and public space. Tyler Square could better acknowledge the Gadigal country, support everyday neighborhood life, and sustain its role as a cultural landmark in Sydney. Thank you.